Mount Horeb in the Sinai Range rises more than 6,500 feet above sea level. Here Moses received the Ten Commandments. Here also the Lord gave him the blueprints for the Ark of the Covenant. In chapter 25 of the second book of Moses, he gives directions for the erection of this amazing structure.
And they shall make an ark of acacia wood. 2 cubits and a half shall be its length, 1 cubit and a half its breadth, and 1 cubit and a half its height. And you shall overlay it with pure gold. Within and without shall you overlay it. And you shall make upon it a molding of gold round about.
The Lord was extremely precise about the building of the ark. He warned that no one should come near the structure. It represented a mortal danger. And though he himself would speak to Moses from the covering plate, he could not be seen.
Moses was even to provide special shoes and clothing to protect his workmen.
Shoes and clothing that would insulate them properly.
If we were to build a replica of the ark today, according to Moses' instructions, we would have a condenser charged with several hundred volts. One side of the plates carrying a negative charge, the other a positive one.
The Bible says the ark bristled with sparks and bright flashes, as in these old paintings. Indeed, when Moses had erected the ark, the Lord would speak to him through it.
Could the gold sheath have been a form of loudspeaker reproducing the Lord's voice from afar?
In 1961, a group of Minnesota college students took Moses seriously enough to construct an ark according to his directions. Their instructor, however, had to have the model destroyed because of the dangerously high electrical charge it developed.
Viewed from the 20th century, the Bible is full of astonishing accounts like that of Moses. No less surprising is the ascension of Elijah,
a chronicle of the purest fantasy, unless, of course, the storyteller was eyewitness to an unprecedented actual event.
A fiery chariot drawn by flaming horses came from heaven to take Elijah away.
Another sensational occurrence in the Book of Books. Many an artist has recreated the story of Ezekiel the prophet.
In the 30th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month, the heavens were opened. As I looked, behold, a stormy wind came out of the north, and a great cloud with brightness round about it, and fire flashing forth continually, and in the midst of the fire, as it were, gleaming bronze. And from the midst of it came the likeness of living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the form of men, but each had 4 faces, and each of them had 4 wings. As for the likeness of their faces, each had the face of a man in front, a lion on the right, an ox on the left, and an eagle at the back.
Would Ezekiel have described the landing of visitors from space in very different terms?
Now as I looked, I saw a wheel upon the earth beside the living creatures, one for each of them. It was like the gleaming of a chrysolite, their construction being, as it were, a wheel within a wheel. When they went in any of their 4 directions without turning as they went. The 4 wheels had rims, and they had spokes, and their rims were full of eyes round about.
Were these the engines of a spaceship?
And when they went, I heard the sound of their wings like the thunder of the Almighty, a sound of tumult, like the sound of a host.
The prophet had witnessed a dazzling sight. How closely it resembles the launching of a multi-stage rocket, even to the scream of its engines at blastoff.
These pictures speak for themselves.
This is how early biblical illustrators represented the angels of promise, a creature with metal legs and landing discs. Doesn't that look familiar? Look carefully at the right side of this picture. This is the monastery of Desani, in the peaceful countryside of southern Yugoslavia. The church was decorated with frescoes in the middle of the 14th century. Recently, the question has been asked,
do the frescoes of Desani represent spaceships?
Yes, they do look a bit like spaceships.
In the first ship, we see a man seated, his hand on a stick shift. He is definitely observing the second spaceship.
Please note the aerodynamic form. Jets are clearly seen.
The spectators are protecting their faces with their hands. They are obviously terrified.
There is no explanation for the origin or purpose of these fantastic pictures.
Nor for the prehistoric rock paintings discovered at Val Camonica near Brescia in Italy. There are portrayals of strange gods in bulky primitive overalls. Their helmets seem to carry antennae.
Istanbul, the city on the Golden Horn. Here stands the palace of Topkapi. A curious set of maps are kept here, which were found in the Orient by the Turkish admiral Piri Reis during the 18th century.
The oldest of these maps dates back to the 1st century AD. They are most likely copies of still earlier maps. The ornamentation of ships and animals is of a later date. Here is one of them. It shows part of Europe and Africa, as well as Central and South America.
Let us imagine ourselves astronauts in a space capsule in orbit high above Cairo. We would see the Earth in this configuration of continents. The most amazing thing about the maps of Piri Reis is that they show exactly what we would see from only one point in space, high above Cairo.
Another remarkable thing,
This map shows a region which is still largely unexplored, the Antarctic. In fact, the existence of Antarctica as a continent was only established in the 19th century.
However, this map dates from 1532. We can only conclude that these ancient charts represent what was seen by someone at a great distance from the Earth itself.
Cairo, a city of 3 million inhabitants on the Nile.
Miles from Cairo is Gizeh, the site of the most enigmatic structures known to mankind, the pyramids.
The area of the base of the Pyramid of Cheops is about 500